My name is Promising Cornell, and I'm a third-year product design major and the student facilitator for Dragon Network, Drexel's official online professional development community for students and alumni. I'm so excited to be joined by Fred Moskowitz, who holds a Bachelor of Science in Electric Engineering and graduated in the class of 1994. We're looking forward to learning more about his career path and journey since attending Drexel. Fred, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Promise. It's great to be here. So excited.
Yes, me too. So let's jump right in. Tell us about how your time at Drexel shaped your career. What were some defining experiences that you think really helped you shape your path?
Well, I'll say one thing. The underlying theme at Drexel for me was that in the day-to-day path and journey through undergraduate, you had to get really good at figuring things out for yourself. And so it's almost like there's a level of street smarts that it's not a part of any class, but it just happens in the environment. And as you're making progress through your coursework, through your co-op cycles, just through all of the journey of being a Drexel student, you start to get more and more savvy as time goes on and um, learn how to solve problems. And there may be not always someone around to help you, and you get good at figuring that out. So that was something that was um, really meaningful for me because after I graduated and went out into the professional world, those were some life skills that um, really were so beneficial.
Mhm. So you talk about being savvy. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Were there like specific like
Yeah, like
mentors, professors that helped you understand what it means to be a good problem solver? Um,
oh, there were so many working on a senior design project, right, where you had to collaborate with a group. And in particular, in my project that I was working on, it was multidisciplined. I was in the computer engineering program, but I was the only one there. We had mechanical engineers were um, the other disciplines, and I think structural. So it was a mix. And so it was really interesting to have a collaborative effort for people to come together from different backgrounds, different skill sets, working with the advisor, following the process with minimal supervision and guidance, and getting that, bringing that project all the way to the finish line. That was best. And then having to present it in front of our peers, in front of faculty and staff, it was really a wonderful experience, certainly daunting as we were going through it. But we learned so much on the way, so many lessons about, again, being organized, putting together a plan, executing that plan, delivering the results. So much there.
mhm.
And these are like I said before, it's part of the life skills. And so that was really impactful. Um, Also, that I particularly remember was the co-op experience that I had, uh, being out in the working world, learning how to deal with different personalities, learning how to manage your own schedule, manage your own work, where a lot was left up to you, and you were either going to sink or swim with it. And you kind of had to figure that out. And sometimes it's so valuable to learn about what you like to do and figure it out because we don't always know. But not only learn what you like to do, but also learn what you don't like to do. So you can say, okay, I did this and it was not interesting for me, or I didn't enjoy it. And so I'll know now in the future that I don't want to do that. And
Mhm.
so you can focus your efforts on the areas where you do wish to grow and expand in your career. That was super valuable.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you touched on a good point there, with the tensions of co-op that a lot of students face. Kind of going into it looking for the perfect opportunity and also being okay with letting it make you understand, okay, what do I don't like, what do I like, and then helping that, navigate your story. What
Yeah.
was your co-op experience? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had some different, very different co-op experiences working at an old established company for one. Another one, I was working for a small business, someone that was a business owner that started their own business, less than 10 employees there. I worked in that environment, very different, right? Very different. And then I worked at an very established computer company, working in the with the hardware and systems. So very different environments, different industries, and I got exposure to that. And one of the most interesting things that I learned through all that experience was the relationships we build along the way, um, were so impactful. Some of the people I worked with, whether it was mentorship and lessons learned or relationships that grew into other opportunities years and years later, I experienced all of that. And so these are some of the surprise and unexpected benefits and nuances that came about through the program for me.
And I'm sure all those experience really compounded together to set you up to be in a good place in your professional career. And looking into the things that you've, explored, it seems like you began your career in like telecommunications and tech. How did working in
Yes.
this industry influence the way you think about business and investing today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, an interesting time when I graduated, it was the early 90s, and I went to work in the tech industry, and I loved it. It was great. And an exciting thing started to happen. It was the birth of the internet at the time in the 1990s. And so I worked at different internet companies, startup companies. It was the dot-com boom. Super exciting time. And so uh, it was a wild roller coaster ride, literally. That's what it was like. We had the dot-com boom. And then after that, we had the bursting of the dot-com bubble, a lot of turmoil. And then after that, we had the September 11th terrorist attacks. And what happened? The economy started to go down, and the bursting of the dot-com bubble and companies going under. So a lot of turmoil and uncertainty in the world. And I realized that, like it or not, I was working in a very cyclical environment, cyclical industry with ups and downs. It was a recurring cycle. This just was not a one-time thing. And so it made me realize that I was taking on this huge risk myself because I was relying on my paycheck for my job as my only income source. And so what happened was I realized quickly that no matter how good of an engineer I was or how valuable of an employee I was, that if things were not going well in the economy or at the company, I could quickly lose my job through no fault of my own. And so I decided that I wanted to mitigate this risk. I didn't want to have my paycheck as my only income source. And so this nurtured a strong interest for me to learn about investing. I wanted to get involved in investing for myself so that I could generate other sources of income. And that's exactly what I did. Um, I got involved in real estate because it was a way to build cash flow and income. And I had people in my life, by the way, including a landlord I had when I was at Drexel that owned a lot of properties and rented them out. I was living in one of the apartments. I realized that this was a way you could really build wealth and income for yourself. And so I got very interested in alternative investments. And over the years, that kept growing and expanding for me until one day I realized that I was bringing in enough income from my investments to cover all of my living expenses. And when that happened, that made me realize that, hey, from this point forward, I'm now going to be working in engineering because I want to and not because I have to. And so this was a huge mindset shift for me. And it was very powerful. And this is why I'm really passionate about investing. I've wrote a book about investments, and I feel like it's something we don't learn about in school. I don't care even if you studied business and finance. They don't teach you how to grow and build wealth and create income from investments for yourself. It's something you learn by doing, by being around other successful people and doing self study. All the information's out there. You just have to take the initiative to learn it, and you can be successful with that. So that was a huge lesson for me.
Yeah, it's good that you touch on how, I guess, economic conditions and circumstances really force you to be flexible, adapt. And it seems like tech as an industry is very cyclical. It can be very unpredictable. And those cycles, how did they shape your views on financial resilience and push you towards wanting to build a business around it?
Well, yeah, financial resilience, it's something that's so important for everyone, right? Because life is full of uncertainties. It has its twists and turns. Maybe the industry you're in is going through a downturn. This happens in all industries. And so working on your financial resilience, it's just like going to the gym and exercising. You got to build it. You got to put the time and effort in and make some sacrifices, but being persistent, having a good plan and a good system, and then executing on that, that's going to set you up for success. And when you're in a place where you have financial resilience, this is what allows you to make decisions not from a place of worry or from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. And that changes your mindset. It really does. And so this is important for everyone. And it really changes your outlook and the way you shape and make your decisions, the way you plan your career and your next career move, right? If you have financial resilience backing you, maybe you'd be more willing to take on a new job opportunity that has a higher risk associated with it, but greater opportunity for growth, right? And so it really can change things. Maybe for someone else, it might give them the wherewithal to take the big leap of starting your own business. That's a huge risk. It may not work out. Many will fail. But what if you don't fail? What if you succeed beautifully? If you have financial resiliency behind you as you make these decisions, it's a game changer. It really is.
And yeah, this is so inspiring to hear. And also, you briefly touched on it that you amazingly decided to write a book. It's called The
Yes.
Little Green Book of Note Investing. Because there might be people watching this. Okay, so how do I learn about this financial resilience? And you wrote a whole book. Tell us about it. What inspired the creation of it? What was the most parts of the process?
Well, I set out to write the book because I feel like um, mortgage note investing, it's a very niche area. Not a lot of people know about it. A lot of people are familiar with real estate investing, where you buy a property, you own it, you manage it to generate income for you, which is great. But also, there's another aspect of it where you can invest in the debt, in the mortgage notes associated with those properties. And it's kind of like you stepping into the shoes of the bank, and um, you're able to invest in real estate without having to own the real estate itself. And so you don't have the uh, headaches of managing properties and repairs and handling tenants and all of those things, which takes a lot of work. It's very lucrative, but it does take a lot of work. And so by note investing, which is investing in the loans, the mortgage notes that are associated with all the properties across the US, you can step into the shoes of the bank. And when you do that, you transition from being the one making the monthly payments to being the one receiving those monthly payments. And so it generates cash flow and income. And the best part, your investment is secured, backed by real estate. It's a hard asset, it has value, and there's downside protection there. And so this can be a really interesting and compelling strategy for a lot of people. People just don't know about this, that it's available to individual investors. And so I wrote a book about it. I wrote a book giving an overview of how this works, how the industry is, the different strategies, what you need to know to determine if you want to get started, get involved, and the different ways to do that. And so, yeah, it's been a labor of love for me, but writing the book has opened up so many opportunities, so many wonderful relationships, and it's something I'm very passionate about, sharing that message. And this is a way to give back, to contribute, and create a body of work that's accessible to everyone.
Mm. Yeah, and speaking of relationships, what connections you think have been pivotal to this progression in your career? Um, do you think you're a mentor yourself, or do you have any mentees? You have all these wonderful words of wisdom to share. What has been the
Yeah.
experience? Mhm.
Thank you. Yes, relationships has been a pivotal part of everything I've done. And so um, it's a skill, it takes work, it takes consistency to get good at building relationships and nurturing them. And it's so powerful, so impactful. I don't care what kind of work you do or what industry you're in. If you get good at building relationships, it's going to help you. And the best part of it is relationships are something that can never be taken away from you. You could lose all the money you have, all the material possessions you have, and have to start over. And if you ever studied about successful entrepreneurs and business owners, you'll see that's a recurring pattern. People lost it all and then started all over again, built it up back up from scratch. But even if that happens, the relationships you have, you're always going to carry that forward with you. They'll always be with you. They can't be taken away. And so this is something I always encourage everyone, work on it, get good at this skill and put in the time and effort. build relationships, build your network, attend events, right? We're all Drexel alumni. Go to the Drexel alumni events that are near your city, right? They're amazing events. It's so much fun to go to. And so you meet people from all walks of life, and you never know who you're going to meet. Maybe it's someone that can open a door for you. Maybe it's someone that needs help and you can make an introduction to help them, right? It works both ways. Or you might be meeting your next business partner on some kind of venture that you're going to get involved in the future. And so it's super impactful, super powerful, and something that has really made a difference for me. And when it comes to mentorship, uh, there's always new skills for us to learn. And I found that if you want to be successful at a particular thing, one of the quickest ways to do that is find someone else that's already in the place that you want to get to and ask them for help. Be genuine. Ask them for help. Ask how you can support them. And you're going to find that most people will be more than happy to help you, whether it's a brief conversation with some advice and suggestions, maybe it's an introduction, maybe it's something else. And when you get good, you get to where you want to be, you become successful, one of the best things you can do is turn right around and do that for someone else that's younger, less experienced, looking to get ahead in the world and help them, right? It's like you got up to the top, so now you can send the elevator back down to bring someone else up and perpetuate that cycle. That's the power of mentorship.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that, this Drexel network is also such a resource that lots of people can use. This idea of giving back when you eventually
Yeah.
make it. Yeah. And on this theme of giving back, we always like to ask our alumni for one last piece of advice that they'd like to leave with us for our students and alumni. One last golden piece of advice to take away.
Yeah, I will say that I'll share a piece of advice from one of my mentors, someone I've never met, right? Spent most of my life here in Philadelphia. And one of our most famous Philadelphians is Benjamin Franklin. And he said this very powerful quote, and it goes like this: an investment in knowledge always pays the highest dividends. And so that reminds us to always invest in our knowledge, invest in growing and expanding your skills, your abilities, your knowledge. Become a lifelong learner. Always seek to grow and expand. It's not that, hey, I'm at Drexel, I'm graduating, and when you're done, you never open another book again. Imagine that, right? Or you're done learning and now you can just go off and work and do what you're going to do in the world. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be that way. We can all decide and set the intention to become lifelong learners, learn new skills, take up new hobbies, learn a foreign language, learn a new programming language, learn AI, how to get good at AI, whatever you want, right? Pick up new things that you can learn on your own and grow and expand your outlook. And that's going to be one of the best investments that we can make in ourselves.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us that piece of advice and for the rest of your inspiring responses today. I know both our alumni and our students are really going to appreciate that. We welcome everyone to join us next month for our next Power Lunch series interview, and I hope that you all continue to utilize Dragon Network to connect with one another. Thank you again, Fred.
Thank you, Promise.